Welcome back and happy Madras Day. Now notice we still say happy Madras Day and we don't say happy Chennai Day. And I somehow can't get used to calling Madras Chennai. In fact, I feel a sense of pride when I say the word Madras. And I'm surprised that this hasn't changed, Charles and James Street.
In fact, this is one of the lucky streets, I must say, here in Chennai. But you know, change is something I guess that we need to adapt to, and
change is
it's
constant.
difficult. Yeah, and it is difficult. But not all streets have been this fortunate. Take a look at that special story by my colleague Pratiksha Ramkumar on some of the street names in Chennai that have changed, but some that have been retained.
Neatly laid pavements and a gleaming tar surface and a huge canopy of trees above your head. Basically a walker's paradise. Recognize where I am? I am on the Besant Avenue, named after Annie Besant, a popular freedom fighter and a women's activist. She is also the founder of the Theosophical Society here in Besant Nagar. Now imagine the name of this area being changed.
I definitely wouldn't like it. It would take the charm away from the area.
This name has been here for a long time, so now I don't think there is no need to change.
What's in a name, you may ask? Well, almost everything, say politicians and historians. Hardly a year ago, the Chennai Corporation had identified 50 streets named after popular Britishers and wanted to name them after Tamil scholars.
ஆங்கிலேயர்களுடைய ஆதிக்கத்தில் ஆட்சியில் வைக்கப்பட்ட பெயர்களாக இருந்த ஒரு சில பெயர்களை மாற்றணும் அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி முடிவு பண்ணிச்சு. அதுவும் அந்த செம்மொழி மாநாட்டை முன்னிட்டு ஒரு 50 தெருக்களுடைய பெயர்கள் மாற்றலாம் அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி முடிவு பண்ணோம்.
Madras itself was rechristened as Chennai just 15 years ago, and despite the deep political wrangle, the city became Chennai, derived from its original name, Chennai Pattinam.
A lot of people still say Madras. Madras and Chennai is an interesting aspect. From the beginning of the city, both names have been prevalent. It's not something new at all.
But then some of the city's landmark roads are named after Englishmen. Ritchie Street, the city's electronic hub, is named after Ritchie, a marine surveyor of Fort St. George in the 1780s. White's Road, where the popular Express Avenue Mall is located, is named after J.D. White, who built a fabulous house in 1809. We now call it the Madras Club. The posh Binney Road is named after John Binney, who had served with the Nawab and later founded Binney and Company in 1803.
We did publish the roots of all these names as such and pointed out that several of these names were important names.
Meanwhile, Chennaiites seem divided over the name change.
Change is the only permanent thing in the world. So if they are going to change it to Tamil scholars' name, it's welcome.
Politicians feel that 65 years after independence, we don't need to live on streets named after the English anymore. But conservationists insist that history has its own place. And otherwise, even residents may never know their heritage.
Well, it's time for us to change tracks to films, cinema, that's synonymous with our city. Chennai, that was Madras, was once the celluloid capital of India. But now that studios have, shut down, it really brings us to that question whether Chennai is being reflected on the silver screen as a city with its entirety, or if it's just a slice of life today.
That's a very interesting topic. So our senior editor and film critic Bama Ravi joins deputy editor of the Hindu Bharatwaj Rangan in a short discussion.
Today, we do not see that kind of Chennai reflected in our Tamil cinema. Why is this? Why do we not see the Marina Beach or even the Mount Road or so many of the green spots that used to figure so much in all our Tamil films from the time of Sridhar to Balachandar to many others? We put these questions to a renowned film critic and deputy editor of the Hindu, Bharatwaj Rangan. Where is Chennai in Tamil cinema today?
Cinema is pretty much a reflection of what the filmmaker wants to do, right? What he's grown up in. And earlier you used to have all these people like Sridhar and Balachandar. If you remember, there was a director called A.C. Tirulokchandar who used to sign his name with MA, that he'd gotten an MA degree. People were from a certain class, they came from a certain class, from a certain socio-economic background as well. So I think their films reflected a lot of that. And but today you're finding a much more democratic set of people making films. So so you have people coming from like the villages of Tamil Nadu. You can say that today it's because of all these people who are coming in from various places that that they don't have the associations with Chennai that a lot of people who grow up here do, you know. So for them, they don't have the nostalgia for Marina Beach, which gave us Gemini and Sumaitangi singing Manidar Ninbavan Deva Magalam or Yenna Parve Undan Parve, Kadalika Neramele. These are all, you know, we look at them because even if we've not seen them on screen, it's come through us to Olium Mulium and all that, and these are all places we've been to.
But even Chennai movies are now becoming Madurai movies, if you know what I mean, because we are having the North Chennai kind of background.
When people like Sridhar, Balachandar, all these people were making movies, there was a huge middle class that went and watched movies, you know. The whole thing was you could not do too much of, show too graphic a thing. Like you cannot show the lives of gangsters as they exactly are. You have to tone it down a bit. In the 80s also, you used to find the Visu kind of movies where a normal middle class guy would go to office, he'll be in there'll be a big file in his hands. He'll be doing those kinds of things. But that you don't have that kind of depiction of that. The officers no doubt exist, but you don't find those people on screen anymore because, the people who grew up in that milieu are not making those movies.
Earlier Tamil cinema used to have a very, very representative Chennai. Today, a lot of that is missing.
That's because that audience is missing. You cannot go and ask cinema to be what you're not willing to.
So, on Madras Day, what would you say Tamil cinema offers vis-a-vis Chennai?
Today you have a very different kind of Chennai from the Chennai of the 70s and 80s, obviously. If an outsider came and saw those movies, he'd think, oh, this is a nice, peaceful city, there are only domestic problems. They have all these crises of family troubles. But, nobody would have thought of, oh, Chennai is also a place where people slit each other's throats and, talk in the foulest language. These are all things that were there earlier, but they never got on screen. So I would say we have a more egalitarian representation of Chennai now.
I think neither the silver nor the big screen show any of these architectural gems that we should be so proud of. They don't showcase not even that much of it. And so this should tell you what our next story is about.
Nitya Kumar has more on some of the old bungalows in the city of Chennai and the unfortunate state they are in today.
Time stands still when you visit these Nugambakam bungalows owned by the Muraris and Chettis. With the portico shares, Madras roofs supported by iron beams, triangular window panes and tiled sunroofs, all typical examples of Indo-Saracenic architecture.
At the turn of the 20th century, Nungambakam and surrounding areas rose to become the residential area of the upper-class European society. Now, their appreciation for architectural designs and patterns were definitely appreciated. However, with time, a lot of people like the Muraris and the Chettis have had to abandon their large, vast properties because of the urbanization in Chennai.
Journalist Murari, who lives in his great-grandfather's house, Deva Solai, has today downsized the 100-ground bungalow to a compact quarter of the original home. One reason is the lack of skilled manpower, so necessary to maintain such bungalows.
We don't even have a Heritage Act in this state. Maharashtra has, Bengal has, Delhi has. Tragic, I think.
It's an unforgettable picture. Murari's 101-year-old ancestral home. The smaller bungalow takes you back to the time when Gosama gowns walked in old-world charm.
The British learned how to keep their homes cool by high ceilings and having ventilation. So I think he took those things from the British, and also the idea of verandas around the house and pillars, and the architecture was partly Indian, partly British.
Unable to hold their ground in the changing times, many of Chennai's bungalows have thankfully been immortalized in the pages of V. Sriram's book, Historic Residences of Chennai. Crinant, one of the 99 properties owned by the Chettis facing the risk of being bulldozed, has found new life in the book.
Today's thing, you can't afford to run a big bungalow if you don't have that kind of money. If you do have the money, people do maintain it as such. But if you don't have that kind of money, you look for options on how you can do it.
Surely, then it's not just Murari but you and I as well who wish time stood still, even only to look at a Madras bungalow.
Well, it's time for us to slip into another short break while we try and grab a bite there at the canteen here at the Fort St. George campus.
But when we come back, we have some secret Madras recipes for you, so don't go anywhere just yet.